Welcome to Brand Builders TV. Deep dive topics, tools and resources brought to you by global thought leaders from within the Brand Builders Club. This show gives you access to the strategies that you can use to move forward with ease and flow in every area of your life and business. In today's show, Greg takes us through the first steps of his humanity model, which are part of his upcoming manifesto. Greg is an international speaker, coach and pioneering entrepreneur. He's on a mission to demonstrate to our governments that social goals can be achieved in alternative ways for the benefit of humanity. During this session, Greg is also going to share with us how at a time when the rules of communication have become more complex for us all through lockdown, how can your limited daily interactions have a more positive impact? Learn it, model it, and get shit done. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to BBC TV. My name's Greg Garrity and I am the founder of the movement Drive Change for Good. Today I'm going to be talking through some of the things that I find that make me normal and ask questions about whether it's your normal or whether normal is normal. So this is the first part of a series, so I'll be in the same place next Tuesday at 12 o'clock for part 2. But initially, let's just get on with it. Let's just have fun. So the first thing I want to talk about is hope. I find on a day-to-day basis that my level of hope, my ability to hope, is something that enriches my life. Even on the small things. So if I wake up in the morning, I love to have fresh coffee in the morning. So if I wake up in the morning, I know that I can go and grind the beans. While I'm grinding the beans, I get to listen to the noise. I get to anticipate the taste and the smell of the crushed beans, and then we add the water, and it's absolutely fabulous. I get to sit outside on the boat or on the pontoon in the sun and drink my coffee, and it's experience. It's anticipation of the experience. It's anticipation of who I'm going to have that experience with that makes hope such an important part of our lives. And I hope that as I get older, I'm going to have that same level of hope with regards to going forward, and it occurs to me that a lot of people that we know, or that perhaps we don't know, more importantly, are struggling with the idea of how to maintain hope if they're ill or if they're socially isolated, if they're people that prior to COVID, they had no friends, no close friends, they hardly saw people on a daily basis. Where's the hope? How can we give them hope? Give me some ideas. Please comment below on how you think we can maintain hope for those that are socially isolated in the current paradigm. I'd then like to go on to talk about understanding. Now, when we talk about understanding, often I think it's an idea of comprehension. Like, do you understand me? And I think that we get lost sometimes in the idea that understanding is comprehension, whereas in reality, being understanding is probably more important. I might not comprehend your point of view straight away. You might be from a different background, a different upbringing, different country, and I might not fully get what you're talking about in the first place. But if I come at you with an understanding approach, if I'm tolerant of you and the gap between us, that will soon reduce to nothing. So I think tolerance is something that we need to work on a daily basis. We've all got our right to a point of view. No one's arguing that right at all. But I think you've got to take care when exercising that point of view. You can't just say, my view's right and everyone else is wrong. You've got to have some sort of emotional intelligence, social intelligence. You know, for example, I used an example earlier this week of me if I wanted to learn how to juggle fireballs. If I wanted to learn how to juggle fireballs, I'd go into the middle of a field somewhere or a beach, set fire to my balls, and then learn how to juggle them. Whereas I wouldn't be saying, do you know what? I'm going to get down to the local Tesco and stand in the freezer aisle and start to juggle flaming balls. No, because I'm using social responsibility. I'm using my awareness of others and my interaction with others. And I think, you know, it's down to your personal response sometimes with tolerance. You know, think when you're in your head and you're going about your day and somebody annoys you, whether it's cutting you up or whether it's just standing in the middle of a shopping aisle with a trolley staring into space, or whether it's someone that actually says something offensive, do you immediately dive in there? Or do you take a step back and look at the bigger picture and go, do you know what? That could have been me last week. That could have been me when the kids were playing up, or someone had just rung to cancel a contract, or whatever. You know, and if you tend to be the person that goes, own up to yourself. Because you can't change unless you take ownership of that. You know, say, okay, yeah, I do that. And have a laugh or whatever, and then go, right, how can I adjust that? Because you think they may have annoyed you and perhaps ruined your experience in that moment, but you might have ruined their whole day. You might have ruined their whole week. If they're teetering on a precipice because of the stuff they're going through, think about how it happens. Just try and be aware of yourself all the time. That is something that we need to be conscious of when we're talking about mental wellness. Because as more and more people are becoming aware at the moment, mental wellness is like a silent tsunami. It's creeping up on society. You know the bit where, as the tsunami's building, all the water goes out from the beach, it just disappears. It's all very quiet, waiting for that great big wave to roll in. At the moment, that water is disappearing off the beach. And our government, it doesn't matter whether it's red, blue or green government, a government are ignoring it because they don't know how to handle it. So at some point, we are going to have a major issue. If you're lucky enough to have wide family support, then you can go to siblings, you can go to parents, maybe even grandparents for advice and support, whether it's how to get through a situation or whether it's just a hug. But more often than not now, because of lockdown, because families are dispersed, because of people working solidly and perhaps only seeing their children for 20 minutes, half an hour a day when they come home from work and then they put them to bed. Parents are struggling. Parents are struggling to cope, not only with having to look after their children for hours and hours on end now, or perhaps having to educate them, but also the fact that they're having to put a brave face on, perhaps their career crashing because of what's happening. And it comes across, you've got to be, in fact you can't be a skilled enough actor to get away with it. Even if you think you are, your kids know something's up, just like your partner does. So you've got to be able to talk to people about it. Don't keep it all into yourself. We know somebody recently that has committed suicide because of things that went on, the collapse of their business because of COVID. And it's tragic. And hopefully if we can stop that and things like that, if we can stop the poisonous atmosphere of families that are struggling to hold it together whilst they're looking after their children, then why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? You know, at the moment, depression has doubled. There's 1 in 5 people suffering from depression at the moment. And it's mostly young adults, women and key workers. Women, because historically, they're keeping the families together. You know, most families, the father's gone out to work, the mother has parented the children. That's just factual. That's the way it's been. The way it's got to be in the future. We redesign. We do what we do. But at the moment, it's young adults that are struggling most, and women, and obviously key workers, because they're having to go out into this every day. They're having to face abuse from people that are cheesed off and don't want to be there and do whatever. We have to redesign the system. We have to. That's the reason I started the Drive Change for Good movement, to redesign the way we deliver social care. It's got to be done. And I am more than happy to take any ideas you have and work with them. If they're realistic, outside the box, I don't care how crazy they are. If I can make them work, I will look at them. Because we need to redesign it totally. Totally. Because what happens otherwise? If we fail parents now by not having the services they need, and we fail the children who have become more anxious, who are struggling with education, now they've had 3 months off, and they're worried about going back to spend time with their friends and everything else, because is it safe? Is it not safe? Who knows? In 10 years' time, we're going to be working with those children as adults, and we're going to be saying, society's going down the drain because we've got all these people that have got no jobs, or all these people that have got no purpose, or we're putting them in detention centres or whatever because they've got mental health issues and they're unable to live in society. That'd be down to us. Categorically. Flat on the table. That's our problem now. We either try and resolve it, or we reap the whirlwind in another decade. The only way around that is to take action. Purposeful behaviour. Now, a lot of people get action and behaviour mixed up. You know, they'll say, yeah, I take action all the time. I get up, I do breakfast. I go to work. But is that action? Is that action? Or is that now the reflex behaviour of your normal life? When I'm talking about purposeful action, I'm talking about you making a conscious decision to change your circumstances. Whether it's your mental state, whether it's your physical state, or your physical environment. You have to take purposeful action to ensure that you maintain your mental wellness. There are lots of people out there, may not be watching this, may be watching this, that are struggling with the idea of, do they have a future in their job? Do they have a job anymore? How can I ensure that if COVID happens again, or something similar, because let's be honest, no one was expecting COVID, what's the next thing around the corner? Godzilla, maybe. How can I future-proof my income? How can I make sure we never go through this stress again? And it's usually the people at the lower end of the scale that are fretting because they just make their wage last the month and then they're back to square one. You have to consider seriously at the moment how you can change your life. Now, maybe it might be as simple as going and getting a different job. He says, I know that's not simple. I know. All right. I know. But it's being decisive. It might be that you say, at this moment in time, this is making me ill. I need to take time for myself. And whether it's sick time or whatever, and during that time you recuperate. Perhaps you look at re-educating yourself. If you're in a position where you've got valuable skills, then even though you may never have considered it before, think about doing some consultation work rather than being employed by someone that can control your life by saying, don't come in tomorrow, you've no longer got a job. Even if you just think these things through, it will change the way you perceive yourself and the way you perceive your position. You taking control is the action that you need to make your life better. And while you're taking control, please ask yourself what it would be like if, whether because of mental wellness already, or whether because of a physical condition or disability or injury, you were unable to take this action. Most of you are very lucky because with a change in mindset, you can take that action. But think about all of those people out there, those people that were socially isolated before COVID, that are still unable to take that action. If you have, in fact, I'll tell you what, when you're out and about, being socially isolated, if you see somebody that looks like they're struggling, go and talk to them, go and ask them how they are. Do that terribly non-British thing. Ask them how they are. But don't go, oh, you're all right, and then disappear. Ask them like you mean it. Are you okay? Give them the time. Allow them to talk to you because you're making a difference. We're in a time where lots of the old systems we've discovered are unsuitable for purpose long term. It's our time to rewrite them. So let's not waste that time. Let's rewrite the hell out of them and make them the best they can be. I'd like to talk to you also about need, because need's a word that gets bandied around, and I've done it myself. When we're on the internet or the TV and you see something shiny, you go, I need that, I need that. And I think in a lot of ways, what we've done, especially with younger children growing up, hearing that, need is used instead of want. And you don't realise how much you've made that mistake, how much you've interchanged the two until you do a little bit of analysis on your life. Because most of the things we think we need, we just want. And some of the things we need, more often than not, we don't have. Have a think about it. Just think about it. Perhaps chat with your partner, or even just write down on a piece of paper. You know, sit down with a coffee and write down what you think you need in your life right now. And if top of the list is money, I'm going to say you need to rethink what's going on there. Because if you said money, then what you actually need is probably security, whether it's emotional or physical. Yeah, money is very rarely at the top of a tree. And the thing is, with needs, you need to keep an eye on them because they change as we go through life. You know, 10, 15 years ago when I was top of my business game, I had a big ego. So I needed people to know I was important. I needed people to know how successful I was. I needed a personal assistant. I needed a big staff team. I needed a smashing car. I needed to have all of those trappings so that when I turned up somewhere, people went, boo, big cheese. Now, I need nothing much more than love and connection with my family, my partner, somewhere warm to live, and food in my belly. That is it. I don't need anything else. And because I've gone through that process, I understand totally what millions of people are missing out on. Again, which is why I created Drive Change for Good. Instinctively, we try and do what's right. When we talk about instinct, we talk about it's animals, isn't it? So there's always a thing of the female will always do whatever's necessary to ensure that her babies are healthy. The male will always protect the family. And we constantly look at gut feeling. You know, a lot of us have a gut feeling. That's right, that's not right. Gut feeling is based on, quite often, senses that you're not conscious of when you're talking to somebody. The problem with that gut feeling, quite often, not perhaps when you talk about personalities, but when you're thinking about careers and all the rest of it, is it's actually not an instinct. It's a construct based on your parents, your grandparents, your siblings. So as you were growing up, as your emotional and intellectual radar was pinging on all the things that were right or wrong, you're basing it all on people who've tried to do the best by you but didn't know any better, people who didn't care about you, therefore it turned out to be totally incorrect, or siblings who were just doing things to be malicious at the time because they hated you. You've got it all in your head, your map of the world. It can be quite often totally misplaced. Your ideas could be wrong. So always think twice before you go into a new situation. Yeah, don't just go, well, I've always done this in similar situations. Think about where you are and what you've done in the past, and in the long run how that worked. You know, for example, when you get a new person moving into the neighbourhood, and it doesn't matter what racial background you are, if they're a different racial background, or if they're from a different country, or even if they're just from a different part of the UK and have got a different accent, everybody's kind of like, ooh. They're not like us. They do it differently. What's that about? You know, think instinct. That's not instinct that's telling you to do that. That's pure construct. That's you being frightened of things that you're not used to. Instinct is watching children, 2-3-year-old children in a playground. They run together, they hug together. If one of them falls over and hurts themselves, the others will help it, will cuddle it. And once they're all fine, they're all off playing again. Same with animals. Baby anything you like. Well, I don't know about baby sharks, but baby furry things. You get one little baby furry thing, another little baby furry thing, and they go, hello. It's nature. Just call me Richard Attenborough. If you think badly of someone at this moment in time because of their opinion, because of the way they're demonstrating the way they think life should be, think on it. Think on it. Because that is your construct that it's clashing against, not your instinct. You know, one of the biggest things I take for granted, as I'm proving here, is talking. Talking. Don't do much of it mostly. Not as much as Sammy. Well, I can't normally get a word in with Sammy, but talking is valuable. Both self-expression, being able to say, I like that, or, oh, that stinks. But also inner talk. The stuff in our head. Can I do that? Can I not do that? What'll happen if I do that? I've always felt I've been able to express myself, get out of situations as they arise. And over the years, I've realised that my view differs very much from a lot of people, in that I think people should be equal. I think that we should be able to say what we like with whoever we like and take the same in return. Now, I don't mean you get to abuse people. You know, this is something I'll come back to again. Free speech is not free speech, because you've got to care about others. You know, that's one of the reasons I created Drive Change for Good, was the fact that we had so many socially isolated people, vulnerable people returning home from hospital, especially with COVID, elderly that have got no one else to talk to. They can't. With the current system, they're isolated, they're lonely, they're losing their faculties and facilities. They're going insane because they've got no one to talk to. We can create what we're doing, or what we want to do, with the new systems. We can do it. We can do it. You know, no one should be a prisoner in their own home. At the end of the day, you should always have your own choice. To choose to go out for a walk, to choose whose company you spend time in. You know, if you're cared for, if you're isolated, you often have no choice in who you get to speak to on a daily basis. It's chosen for you by a local authority or by a care company. And often you don't get a chance to make friends with them because they're either not there long enough, or it's different people every day. That shouldn't be something that thousands of people in our society have to deal with. It should be something that we are able to customize and allow people to have speech and choice whenever they like. Mental health issues are hitting younger and younger people, and they're still not being provided for properly. You know, I think everybody, you need to join me in this movement. You need to join me in Drive Change for Good. Come across to my Facebook page, Drive Change for Good. You'll be more than welcome there, and I will be able to talk to you at length about what we can have together, what we can have for other people less fortunate than us. So let's take it forward. Let's build the country, the world that we could have. Let's leave social isolation behind. Let's drive change for good. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you at the same time, the same place, for next Tuesday, part 2. Thank you.
I hope that you've enjoyed the show today as much as we've enjoyed making it for you. If you've got anything out of this episode, please do tell someone else how they can subscribe to the Brand Builders TV channel at youtube.com/brandbuilderstv. Why not join us at our next Brand Builders Thinkubator, a global mastermind that we run every week to take away the loneliness of being in business on your own. For more information and to book your place, visit light.brandbuilders.club/Thinkubator. That's light.brandbuilders.club/Thinkubator. Until next time, be the ripple that you wish to see in the world, and we'll see you soon.